James Bond, Rambo, John Wick has action found its newest star. Hi, I'm Film Stash, and today we're talking about Monkey Man.
Now for the positives with Monkey Man.
Now, the positives I can get right out of the way is the talent of Dev Patel. Now, Dev Patel is the actor, he's the writer, and he's the director of this feature film. And honestly, I've known him for years, acting-wise. No matter the project, whether it was Avatar or Slumdog Millionaire, he did an amazing job acting-wise. But this is his first time directing. And for a beginning project like this, where you could have gone with a simpler drama, he went deep in doing an action film. And I think he's got a promising career ahead of him.
From beginning to end is an exhilarating, violent, and bloody revenge story. And unlike what the advertisements would lead you to believe, it is a lot deeper of a story than what you would imagine with John Wick. It isn't John Wick, but what you do have is a story that centers around trauma and how that can basically affect you for your entire life. And you can definitely see that with Dev Patel's performance. He basically is a container of rage that's just ready to burst at any moment, and he's trying to keep it contained the entire runtime. Now, besides the emotional aspect of his character, he is a really convincing action star, especially for a first-time directorial aspect as well. He directs action great, and each hit is visceral and violent and awesome. Now, the backdrop of India's metropolitan and poorer areas affected by the caste system itself, it really gives the movie a different flair compared to other action movies. Oh, did you hear that? That means it's time for intermission! Give me 1 second. Now, during intermission, that's when I get to try and review a popcorn. And today, for our inaugural episode, I'm going to be reviewing burnt popcorn. Now, I'm not sure what company this is from, but I gotta get a good piece. You guys see that? Look at that. Alright, down the hatch, guys. Delicious. That is definitely burnt. That's a 1 out of 10. That's a definitive 1 out of 10. Yeah, I'm gonna pitch the rest of that. That's disgusting. That's it. For the mixed aspects of the movie, the fight choreography is amazing. It's bloody, it's brutal, and it even can be funny in points. But the cinematography itself recording these fight scenes, the execution may vary depending on the viewer. I personally think it's very purposeful and fits with the POV of the character. Now, the camera work, when it gets super shaky, that's whenever he's learning to fight. And it's not very well done at first, and it kind of is sloppy like a real fight. But as the film progresses and he learns to fight better, the choreography, with the cinematography, it syncs up and it gets better. Now for the negatives. I don't find a whole lot negative with this film. In fact, it was done very well most of the time. But if I had one issue with the film, it's the language and the dubbing. Now, they speak Hindi and English for most of the runtime, and I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is these characters will speak English most of the time, and then they will unnecessarily put a subtitle saying what they just said in English, even though I understood it pretty well most of the time. Like, I get, like, this is a different kind of movie compared to most moviegoers. Like, they want, like, the general audience to understand what's being said. But I think to an extent, you can understand the English pretty well, and I don't think the audience will have a hard time interpreting it. And what I have more of an issue with is that this only occurs in the first half, where they'll speak English and then they'll just throw the subtitle in there. But then in the second half of the movie, that just goes away completely. When they're speaking English, they decided, like, alright, we can understand this, so they will understand this. But personally, I think the audience would have been fine with that. And I think that if you wanted to put subtitles for English, you either do it the entire time or none of the time. But they just kind of pick and chose randomly, and it just was kind of distracting. In the end, Monkey Man is fantastic. It is a fantastic action movie. I would certainly recommend watching it on the big screen. And if not, I'd recommend watching it at home. I think it's great to watch. I would give it an 8 out of 10. I would like to recommend another movie if you like action or even revenge flicks. Now, I could just give you John Wick, but everyone's seen John Wick. So today, I actually would like to recommend a South Korean action movie called Old Boy. This is from 2003. Great revenge flick. It stars this guy who's a businessman, and basically he's going to his daughter's birthday party when all of a sudden he gets kidnapped and wakes up in a motel room. And for 15 years he is stuck there by himself until one day he's let free. Will he find the guy who put him there? Well, that's all the time we have for today here at Film Stash. My name's Dev Campbell, and if you excuse me, I gotta add to the stash.